So, the table, the first epoxy pour resin table out of Triple C Custom Shops. So, let's talk about things I did wrong. First of all, there's what the bottom looks like. Now, I didn't want there to be any resin on the bottom at all. That's why you can see I carefully caulked all around it. Oh, if I put my camera there, you can see it. Caulked all around it. Caulked all around it, but look, there's 1/8 of an inch of resin. There's no telling how much resin I wasted. So that was number one. I screwed these down to hold them in place, because what happens is when you're doing wooden resin, the wood floats. So being a smarty, I screwed these down. After doing more research, I found out you're not supposed to screw those down. They're supposed to be able to move. You clamp them loosely, just enough to keep them from floating. And then they move as the resin dries. So on my first pour, my little things I put in here for the dams didn't work. They started leaking on my first pour, so I pulled them. And now I've got this ring all the way around the edge of the table, which is not a big deal. I mean, it looks fine, but it's not what I was intending. So I should have done a better job at sealing this off and making sure that the resin couldn't get under there. I didn't allow enough time for this to dry. I used the wrong kind of caulking. Next time I use clear silicone, which is what I should have used. I should have spent more time caulking this line in from this side. The line down there, I should have caulked it in better. That's where all these bubbles and shit came up from. So there's those mistakes. I poured, the first pour was here, came up. That's the river you can see down in there. And then my next pour, I should have came to the top of the edge and stopped, and then did a final pour over top of everything. So because I did not do that, and because I screwed down my wood and it couldn't move, if you look right here, there's a valley. It's from the resin curing and pulling that down. So now I've got a valley here. I don't know if you can see across the top of that finish or not, but it's not smooth like glass like I was hoping. In the river here, it's all wrinkled. And see how that dip is there. This from bubbles coming up from out from under. And these here. And so, that was my next mistake. I should have just poured up to this ledge on my second pour, and then made a third pour across the top. That would have given this all time to cure correctly. I covered this the night that I did the second pour. This stuff here is not supposed to get hot. It's supposed to take like days and days to cure without the heat like the other ones do. But I think something about putting the top on it and not letting air to it. And also, it was under where the heater runs. And the temperature on this stuff makes it kick faster. So if it's a higher temperature, it'll kick faster. This shit kicked off that night. The original river that I poured, 14 hours the next day, I could still take and swirl. Matter of fact, I got videos of me doing it, swirling in it the next day, like 24 hours later or something. It stayed loose for days, at least a whole day. And this stuff kicked off that night. I was getting up and catching the bubbles, and I was like, well, not a big deal. After I went to bed, I would get up in the middle of the night and stuff, whatever, use the bathroom, whatever, and I would check on it. And I was blowing the bubbles out, and then when I went to sleep the last time, I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. If there's any bubbles, I'll kick them out tomorrow. And when I got up, this was all hard across there, like hard as a rock. This was still loose over the wood, but out here on the river, it was really hard, and these were dried in. Nothing I could do. Went online and searched it and found out what to do. So I'm going to hit this with some 120 grit. I'm going to go in here and sand all these down smooth. There's bubbles under the surface here. I'm going to grind those out. There's some in there. Anywhere I see them, there's some little ones there. I'm going to hit them. I'm going to open them up. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put a dam around this, probably just tape. I've seen them do that before. We should be fine with that, I hope. And bring it up about that high. And then I'm going to pour like a 1/4 inch across the top of it when it's all said and done. And in theory, that should fix all these little screw ups in it and everything. And then the table should be here any day. And this will be 100% be our first resin table. If you look past the bubbles and crap being in it, the grain is absolutely beautiful. I don't know how clean my lens is. It's probably not very, but it's got a little pink tint to it. You can see this is translucent. You can see through there. And then as it gets down to the first pour with the river, it's more of a pearlescent. You can see the nice swirly swirls all in it. So, also, I did not seal these with anything, these edges. I didn't think it would matter because it wasn't rough and there wasn't a lot of bark or anything on it, and it traps air. I should have sealed those. That was a step that I missed. Candy even told me half the shit she told me. So, but you know, you can't just go and listen to a girl because they don't know anything about this stuff. That is just a joke. She has been watching 90% of the videos with me, so she knows more about this. She's probably picked up more on it than I will ever know. But anyways, going to play around with this today and just kind of take it easy. I'm going to pull my tables out and sand them. Get all the rough edges and stuff and splatters off of them. But besides that, that's what's going on in the shop today. All right. Have a good one, guys.